You have some great ideas at work. You suggest them to your team constantly, but they get overheard. If this is about you, I'm Greg with 10 plus years of communication coaching experience. I've coached people from engineers to CEOs to enhance their communication skills. And in the next 10 minutes, I'll explain exactly why this happens and what to do about it. And here's what I learned. Usually it's not just about the quality of the idea, it's also about how you communicate it, because our brains work differently. And we need sort of a translation from one language to another when we are communicating ideas. And if your ideas gets overheard, it might be down to one of two things. Either people struggle to comprehend you, people struggle to grasp the idea quickly enough, or something in your communication style might trigger the emotional resistance towards the idea. And I will do my best to help you with both. And I understand this. It is sort of frustrating. Ideas should win on merit and not on how they are sold. But unfortunately or fortunately, we live in a world where we need communication to sell those ideas. So it is probably better to have those skills and also good ideas than just good ideas themselves. So now let's figure out what to do with the first issue of the idea communication, and it is the comprehension. So the first reason people might overlook your ideas is because they struggle to comprehend them quickly enough. This usually means that something in your idea is so complicated, they try to understand you, but then when they struggle a little, they just shut off because it is easier for them in the moment, right? It is easier to catch something that is right on the table, right in front of them, something they understand easily, than something complicated. So that is why they just move on from what you suggest. So in order to understand how we can treat this issue, we need to understand how people think. To do that, imagine our brains like big parks. There are destinations in those parks, and this would be our ideas, and there are paths worn in grass between those destinations. That would be our neural connections. So the more you walk the path, the better connection you establish between those ideas. And when you suggest something new, you introduce something new to the brain of your colleagues, this is just a new destination in their head. They see it, probably, they see it somewhere over there, but they think, I don't want to bushwhack to get there if there is no clear, already established path for me. So this is what you essentially need to do. You need to clear the path, you need to establish this connection so they can get there easily. To do that, you need to connect something you are presenting to something they already know. So to make this path more clear, more obvious, and more simple to walk through. And here's a real example from my coaching experience. I worked with a technical team who was presenting to a business side of the company, and they were presenting a new project that would require some additional resources and manpower. So they had to explain why this is crucial for the company. So they went in and they said, look, we want to refactor this and that in order to lower our time of main page download, right? And they explained that, and they saw some blank faces, blank eyes in front of them, because nobody really understood the value that it brings. And then they've talked to me, and we've tried to analyze what went wrong, and we tried a different approach. So they went in the second time and they said, look, every second people spend waiting while our main page is loading costs us 20% in conversion. So we want to cut 1 extra second, but we need additional 3 people in our team, and we need to move this and that out of our priority. Immediately, they got the recognition they needed. Immediately, they got the answer they needed because it was clear what purpose this idea serves. And it was very simple to understand that because People on the business side of the team knew those ideas well. They knew why the conversion is important. They knew what impact it can have on the business, so they immediately agreed to this idea. And sometimes ideas might be just a little bit too abstract. So the path is clear, but I don't really understand why to go down this path, right? So this is when you can use metaphors. And metaphors will help you to quickly explain something complicated, something complex in very simple words. Instead of just saying, we need to add a caching layer to our app, you can say, think of that as books that you keep on your working desk. You don't need to go to check the bookshelf and open them over there. You can just grab it quickly right from your desk and use it. So you'll get faster access to the same information. And using these two techniques, connecting ideas to something people already know and explaining it with metaphors if it might be a little bit too complicated for them, those two instruments will help you to get the comprehension you need, and you will see immediately how people react better to what you suggest. But sometimes people understand your ideas well enough. However, they still dismiss it. This is probably about emotional resistance. This might be triggered because of some sort of communication issue that you had in the past, or maybe they just don't like the way the idea is presented. So this second part is to help you figure out what to do with it. If you notice that people again and again tend to answer to your ideas without really rational explanation why they don't like it, but still they like, don't know, don't feel good about it. Well, try doing those two things. First, use the technique I call yes and. When you want to add something to the conversation, don't launch with a completely new idea. Try to add something that's already on the table. Instead of, oh, and what if we do this instead of that? Try saying, yeah, I like the idea, and also we can add X to it, so we can also get this and that results. So here's why it works. Two things. One, you get seen as a helper, as a builder, not as an opposition. And second, it's easier for people to work in this positive environment. Because if they already support the initial idea, it will be easier for them to add to this idea something extra, something that you are presenting. And maybe something you are presenting would in the end be even more important than the initial suggestion. But that is not the point here. The point is to get the momentum someone else got for the initial suggestion and use it to also build your ideas into the conversation. The second technique you might use, I personally like the most. So before you add something, before you suggest something new, try starting with a question. Instead of just saying, let's do X, try saying, what are we trying to achieve here? What is our end game? What is our main priority in this project? So what you're doing is you're asking for criteria. You're trying to figure out what's the real issue here. And this is really powerful because the idea you're suggesting, and if it's of course aligns with the criteria everybody agrees on, your idea would be seen as more valuable. Your communication style would be seen as more strategic because you're thinking about like common understanding of the goals. And also, others will feel heard because you first asked their opinion, you first showed interest to their opinion, and this feels nice, to be honest, and only then you suggested something new. So you cared what other people think, and you built on it, not against it. Here's how it might look like. Instead of saying, we should use React for this project, you can say, what's our main priority here? Is it how quickly we can ship this, or is it future maintainability? Some people might say, well, our main priority is speed, so we need to do it quickly. And you can answer, well, in that case, I suggest we use React on this project because this will optimize for speed. Notice what happens here. You're not just suggesting, arguing your idea. You are just answering to the criteria other established. So your idea is not just comes out of the blue, your idea is the answer to the priority everybody agreed on. And one more thing, if people dismiss your ideas continuously, it might be because they had some not perfect experience with you in communication in the past. Maybe you were very direct, maybe you argued a lot, and maybe it is difficult for them to listen to you because they just are afraid of these harsh conversations. That's fine, that's absolutely normal. This sometimes happens, and I'm not saying it's fair or I'm not saying that you done something wrong. This is how it is. But those techniques that I've mentioned will help you to rebuild this trust and rebuild this connection if you do them consistently. Maybe they will not work from the first time immediately, but if you do them consistently, you will see how things get better and better every time you do that. And from the person who argue a lot, you will turn into a person who is needed in the conversation and who helps everyone to get a clear path to the solution. So let's do a quick recap. First, make sure that your ideas is comprehensible enough. You can do that by trying to ask yourself, is the path from what people already know to what I suggest clear enough? And if it's not, try make it more clear. Try connecting your suggestions to something they already know. You can also use metaphors to do it more quickly and more efficiently. And to make your ideas more attractive emotionally, build on others' ideas with yes and ask for their opinion about the priority, about the criteria, to match your idea with their priorities. Do this consistently, and your ideas will never die in an awkward silence ever again. And that's it. If you like this video, you might also like another video on this channel about why we argue wrong and what to do to argue better. And if you like this video and want to see more, hit subscribe button. I share new science-based communication advice every week. See you next time.